Very good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is audible, loud and clear. Let me just enable the chat for all of you. You should be able to drop messages. Okay, the chat is enabled. I hope my voice is audible. Quick yes or no would be great. Okay, great. Good. I see a bunch of responses. Wonderful. Okay, so I see a bunch of names. Ms. Gunjan, Mr. Abhishek, Mr. Shivaram, Ms. Ruxana. Very good evening, everyone. Great. Good to see some responses that are coming in already. So, audience, to the ones who are already here, we will be starting off shortly. We're just waiting for some more of the audience to join in. Very good evening, Ms. Netra. All right. So while we wait for the rest of them to join and we kicking off today's session, I'd like to know how many of you are actually repeat attendees over here. To the ones that we have at the moment here, a yes or no would be great. On chat, I just want to know how many are repeat attendees and how many are new attendees, first timers for our webinar. Okay, great. Ms. Ruxana is a new attendee. Anyone else? Okay, great. All right, so the first three of them who responded, oh, interesting. All of them are new at this point. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, which is good to see. We generally have a lot of repeat attendees, but it's nice that we have a whole bunch of new attendees that we have this time. Great to see that. Good. Okay, so audience, I just want to let you know that this session is obviously going to be interactive. We have polls. We also have a dedicated Q&A that will be taken care towards the end of the session, wherein you can ask any sort of queries related to the topic or anything related to HR. Our speaker will be able to spend some time on that. So in the meantime, I would like to know what is it that you're expecting from today's session? I'm sure most of you are from the HR side. Obviously, we'll have HR managers, we have senior HR executives, recruiters. I'm sure this is the kind of audience that we have today. I would like to know from each of you if you can drop something on chat to know what is it that you're expecting to hear from today's session. I'm sure all of you have received the invite when you registered, but how about you give us some inputs on what you're expecting from today's session? The chat is open to you guys. We will wait to see what the responses are. Okay, we have the first response, industry-based practices. Okay, all right. Okay, interesting. HR automation and transformation, leave encashment. Okay, all right. Yes, we will talk. Definitely, we will cover industries' best practices. Our speaker, having been in the industry for a really long time. She will also be covering certain case studies, so that will definitely give you some perspective. Okay, HR automation, yes, we will also talk about that. That's part of the itinerary. Okay, performance management, I think we may cover. We will look into that. We'll definitely look into that. Automation for attendance and leave, how to simplify, and best tracking system. Okay, Mr. Shivaram. Okay. Okay. So I see that obviously most of you are interested in how automation can help this. That is great. Compliance clarification. All right. Okay. Anything else, audience? Really glad to see the responses at this stage already. It's nice when all of you actually drop in responses, comments. It's good to have this engagement. So I hope this continues throughout the session. Audience, what I'd like to know is for the people that we have here right now, how many of you are actually into handling leave and attendance management? I know some of you may not be directly handling this, your teammates might be handling, but how many of you are directly involved in leave and attendance tracking on a daily basis? Okay, I see Sharayu has raised her hand. Okay, interesting. So we have one. Anyone else? Oh, okay. Good to see there are a whole bunch of them. Shivaram, Benita. Okay, good. This is nice. It's good to see. Okay, Ms. Netra says she's directly involved. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Mr. Abhishek, compensation and benefits. I think we can definitely talk about that as well. Great. Audience, is there something that you would be expecting to hear from today's session? Aside this, anything that you are expecting, I'd like to know that. Let me leave the chat on for you guys. Also, we are starting in just about 2 minutes. Great to see Mr. Manoj, Sharayu, all of them are actually directly involved. So this should be a good session for all of you. I'm sure of that. Wonderful. So I think we'll get started. Once again, thank you all for joining us and being patient through the initial first 10 minutes of the webinar. This is something that we usually do. Once again, thank you all. We'll get started. A very good evening to everyone. Once again, I hope my voice is loud and clear, audible to all. Please let me know if it's breaking or anything in between. Okay, great. Thanks. So my name is Siddharth. I handle product marketing at Web Solutions Limited, that is WebSol, and I will also be your moderator for the day. So before we move forward, and I'm sure all of you are obviously waiting to hear from the speaker and the presentation itself, what I'm going to initially do is run you through a very quick and brief introduction of the company that I represent, that is WebSol. So let me run you through the evolution of the company as any other company undergoes. We were in fact part of Wipro's IT business back in the days. So we were very well known for printer peripherals, printer manufacturing. I'm sure all of you have heard of dot matrix printers, right? Before the whole laser and inkjet technology came in. This is something that was very popular back in the days, and Wipro was very well known for that, our division that is. But over the years, over a decade, the company actually decided to step out of Wipro and form a separate entity in itself. When I mean entity, a separate company in the name of Wipro E Peripherals, which later, in abbreviation, was known as Web Solutions. So, as that moved forward, the company actually decided to bring in the managed print services model as well. So when I mean managed print services, I will cover this as we move forward. But further, let us move forward. In 2017, the company decided to bring in digital workplace services. What I mean by this is essentially our workflow automation, GST automation, managed IT services. All of this came into picture in 2017 with the changing market trends. And rather radical, significant change that I'd like to quickly let you know about is our um, branding. That is, we are now known by the name of Websol. We underwent a complete brand refresh, and we also have a completely updated solutions lineup. That is our portfolio. So more on that as we move forward. Okay, so quick highlights of the company that I represent. We come with over 24 years of industry expertise, close to 573 enterprise customers, and we are present in over 2,500 locations across India. And something that we recently bagged, the most recent one is we won the best company in MPS 2024 by VAR India. A quick view of some of our key clients, as you can see. Moving forward. Okay, so I will not spend too much time here. This is our workplace suite. This is our portfolio, which goes by the name Fluid Works. Our solutions are basically tailor-made and scalable based on the end user's requirement. I'm not talking organization. I think the end user is very important. That is, it could be me, it could be our speaker, it could be you guys. I think that is what is most important. And our solutions are tailor-made for you guys. So let me explain what each of these is. Moving to the next slide. All right, so Fluid Pro, this is basically our managed IT services solution. Under this, we have a gamut of offerings, basically covering your infrastructure, your IT infrastructure. It could be remote infrastructure management. We also have a 24 by 7 NOC support that is headed in Bangalore itself. We have a dedicated team for that. Aside this, we also take care of your entire cybersecurity requirements. So that is Fluid Pro in a nutshell. Moving forward, we have Fluid Print, as I was mentioning earlier, our managed print services model. Let me quickly explain this, what exactly this means. Essentially, let's say you have about 500 to 600 printers in requirement. The number could be anything. It could be 100, it could be 500, whatever it is. You will not need to purchase the printers. You will simply require us to rent it out for you, and you will be simply charged for the number of papers or the number of pages you print on a monthly or quarterly or annual basis. So this is what managed print services is. Well, aside this, there are a lot more things, but I will end it here, what Fluid Print is. Now, Fluid Map. Now, you know, a lot of computers, a lot of Wi-Fi access points, a lot of printers, right? All these are spread across your organization in different locations. How do you manage this? This is where Fluid Map comes in. This is our remote monitoring solution, which is basically deployed in your network, and you will have an eagle-eyes view of all your systems, all your devices, all your printers, their uptime, downtime, all of this can be monitored with Fluid Map. You will also have a dedicated service engineer who will take care of all of the requirements there is. Moving to Fluid Trail, which is our state-of-the-art workflow automation solution. This, I think, will interest you guys because we also cover the HR side of things. Most importantly, leave and attendance management is something that we cover. We also have employee records management, essentially a cloud repository where you can store all your employee records. Your onboarding, offboarding, all of this is taken care by Fluid Trail. More on this as we move forward. And lastly, we have a GST solution as well, which takes care of filing, reconciliation, all of that. And something that I'm not going to cover today is our retail side of things. We also have presence on the retail end. When I mean retail, your POS machines, billing printers, all of this is under our retail side. So that's a very quick introduction about the portfolio and what our company offers. Now, we will not actually show you a demo of our solution during the webinar, but what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to launch a poll for all of you. So I'm sure some of you might be exploring, some of you might be interested. I would like to know if you would be interested in a free demo of Fluid Trail, our HR automation solution. I will leave this poll on for the next 1 minute. Please note that we will obviously arrange a free of cost demo based on your availability and requirement. We will understand what your requirement is, what you're looking at, and we will customize the demo for you. All right. Thank you all for your inputs. I will end the poll in another 10 seconds. Once again, I hope my voice is loud and clear. If you have any queries in between, please use the chat. You can also use the Q&A tab, guys. So any queries during the presentation, you can simply drop it there. We will note it down and we'll take it up during the Q&A session. All right. Thank you all for your inputs. I'm ending the poll. Let's move forward. And without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker for the day, Ms. Navina Joy. A quick introduction about her. Ms. Navina Joy brings in over 15 plus years of experience, extending to strategic HR, organizational culture building, policy making, and planning as her areas of expertise. Having held roles as HR manager in the past in various industry verticals, and at present, the AGM HR at Supron Swiss Technic India, her experience adds immense value to those aspiring to make a difference in the HR field. Now, just a quick gist for those of you, I know a lot of them are new joinees here. This is not our first webinar with Ms. Navina. In fact, I've lost the number of the count that we've had, the number of webinars with Ms. Navina. I am sure the audience is looking forward to directly hearing from you, ma'am. Without any further delay, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I hope my video and the audio both are audible. So yes, as Siddharth said, that this is not the first time that I am giving the web presentation, but it is like a number of times that I've done. But I'm happy that there are new, audience that is there. Hopefully that I'm able to give out good, inputs to whatever the agenda of our webinar is. So, see, the topic of our webinar is into leave attendance management and how it can be productive in terms of automation. So, the thing is that in terms of everything, whatever points that I will be discussing, one thing is very clear because the chats I was reading, there are people who are directly involved in the attendance, and there are people who are indirectly, involved in the attendance management in the sense that they are not involved in the day-to-day basis. But for both the sake, this is a very important area. While I go through the whole, in terms of the presentations and pointers, just make a point of one thing that through these attendance and employee attendance or probably a leave management system, we can actually find out or analyze that the productivity of every individual or every employee over here. We can also find out whether it's a personal issue or if it is a performance issue. So all this is related to the in terms of the attendance everything. So how good is the attendance management is how we are going to talk about. Okay. Yeah. So first, we would be discussing about how important is the efficient leave and attendance management in HR. So there are several points, and these are very basic points, which I will pick up and talk about it so that you get a clear idea of it. And see, while we say that it's a very basic, but it's something that we ignore mostly. Okay, but we need to stress on these things. First point probably would be the improved productivity. Now, improved productive would be if you have a lot of people who are taking leaves, who are absent all the time, and if you find out like one or two people who are into like continuous leaves, okay, so there would be issues related to it, and we need to address that issue because always, you need to understand one thing. It's not about the action, but it is about the root cause. You need to find out the root cause because the cause relate to the action. So leave is just an action, is not the cause. It is not that one fine day I want to take a leave that I am taking a leave. So you need to understand. So it can be because of stress, because of health concern, or any kind of a not board environment or culture, or basic or any kind of an issue that is running on. So you need to address that. So basically it would be increasing a productivity if the root cause is actually understood and addressed. Then second is the if everything is in terms of the productivity related. So if the productivity is addressed on time, so obviously the task, the energy plus the kind of mind plus the spiritual plus the mental, emotional, all things are at present to this point. It is not like, it is hampered in any way. So in all these things, the productivity increases. Okay. The second point is compliance with the labor laws. You understand that, we all are present in all parts of India, and all parts of India is one country which doesn't follow one rule. It follows state-wise, it follows city-wise, it follows religion-wise, it follows probably political views also. So based on these laws, we can actually have a kind of adherence to the law and find out what is basically the the leave policy or the holiday policy, and probably we can avoid any kind of issue, so that that kind of a thing is also avoided. Second probably would be in terms of compliances, that the company undergoes a lot of audits, and if there are proper leave management, a proper planning that has to be done in terms of organized way, if this leave management is done, that is also complying with the regulations that we followed towards the all kinds of systems, like, or probably an Indian or a gazetted or a regulated, or probably political issues that can be adhered to, right? Next. Then, of course, we have a cost management. Now, in a traditional way, if you see, probably, when we compare a private company or a government company, we always say a government company has a very manual tracking, or they do get into the paper working, or they get into, you understand, when the a person, when an employee enters into the company, they have a guard or probably a system where there is a register where they write, okay, in and out system. So it's a manual tracking that is there. There's a lot of time that is there. So, there are a lot of issues also there that is there. Like, there can be changes, handwritten is there, and then overwriting is also there. Then there are three people who are actually viewing and auditing these registers, that what is happening. And probably it's a human error. People can get into the human error as well. So that can be that the cost is already involved. So for one register or one employee, there is almost a 3% audit is also, I mean, overhead head is involved in it. So we can avoid that as well. And then, if there are people who are working, when we see in an in time and an out time is there. So a proper management of 9 hours working can be done in terms of if there is an automation system that is there. But if you see in a register system or a paperwork is there, when there is an overtime, this time, so there's a lot of unnecessary overtime cost that is also involved in that. So automation helps in the costing as well. Then the last part probably is the employee satisfaction and engagement. Now, if we have any, if you see in a traditional environment, every employee is unaware of what are the leave policies of a company. They do come to the HR, they do come to the admin department, they do come to the management to understand what exactly is the leave policy, or to see that what is happening or how they can manage leave, or probably a work life balance, everything. But this can be avoided, because if there is everything written on a one page, written in the sense that if it is like on the web, or probably it is on the digital side of it, they can just access to it and go through it. There is a transparency through it, and when there is a transparency, they just don't need to take out a lot of time in understanding it. They just read it and they can plan out their work. So there is a balance towards it. Again, because of this balancing, there is a fairness in the system. So there is no there is no when we say that we go to the management, and okay, this person, one person is getting 10 leaves and the other person is getting only 2 leaves. There is no mistreatment in terms of the biasness of the management, or probably employee, or probably any kind of a manager towards the employee. So there's a fairness in the system. The only system is there is an attendance management, where these which is digitally written, and the employees go through it and accordingly they plan out this, right? Next. Then, yes, very, very important thing is that, because nowadays HR as a department is considered to be a very important department in terms of decision making. Why? Because this is the only department which has an access to all the departments. all the departments of the company. So whether it is like analysis in terms of strategic analysis in terms of financials or costing or probably hiring, staffing, all these things. This is also one of the reason why it can, the attendance or the leave management can give us a lot of in terms of the decision making. How? Because the kind of ups and downs and graphs of every person, or the probably any kind of leaves or probably any kind of trend that is seen. Okay, we as an HR can, is it, it's helpful in terms of if there is any kind of policy change that is required, if there is any kind of root cause that we have identified, we can actually find out if there is any programs that we need to initiate. Or probably the whole company employees are taking any kind of leaves or they are absent, it is because of the cultural issue. So we can actually address the cultural issue also. So there is an improvement that can be adhered, or probably that can be worked upon based on this data driven decision. Then we have in terms of that, we when we have a constant tracking of leave and attendance, it actually elevates the performance also of an employee. Now how we do is that the HR is basically have the freedom to they have the freedom to just understand what exactly is the the tracking or the trend that is going on, and how much can an employee work, or probably how much it is dependent, how much probably the person is dependent on the manager, or probably a manager is dependent on the employee, or if the company is dependent on the employee, or probably the employee is dependent on the company. All these things can be there. If there is any person that can be hired on this basis, or or that work or particular person's work is hampered, all these things can be audited and drive towards it. Okay, there, so all these things can be understood. So whenever we see the, oh, this person is on leave, so every work or probably every action is stopped. Okay, that is not the idea, that is not the thing, that the company should be dependent on any employee, or probably an employee should be dependent on one task or management that is there. So this can be addressed as well. Then better workforce planning. Again, for all these things, we can get into the yeah, staffing needs wherever there is a requirement that so there are absent, there are a lot of absenteeism. Again, when we find out the root cause of everything, and when we see there is no reason to it, it is just a for granted thing that is going on, so that can be also avoided, and we can actually think of getting into a new staff, or probably a new employee that is there. And we can get into if there is any emergency that comes up, and we find out there is an emergency, so we need to also think that, okay, who can be an alternate to that person. So that can be also a temporary replacement to that, and we can find out the task. So our being an HR, our job is that the company should not suffer and the employee should not be suffering. So due to that kind of a handling that barrier, or probably managing that kind of a barrier, we need to find out that what is how things can be managed in a better way. And this can be done through all these things that we have talked about. Okay, then we will yes, these attendance system can also help in creating scheduling, and probably the any kind of performance that is affected. Again, the root cause of everything need to be found out. And this, if once the root cause is found out, and we address it also, and after that also things are not managed, then probably we can have a second opinion to it, in terms of whether these whatever actions we took on this basis is helping the employee or not, or whether it is helping the company as well. So we can keep changing these policies and everything based on these data, or probably the planning that is there. So it's a huge data which actually gives us a clear idea in terms of strategizing and planning. Next. Yeah, so of course, as I informed earlier as well, when we how can we reduce fraud and mismanagement? So when there is a paper and when there is a a guard or probably a junior level person who is actually writing down, so that it can be manipulated easily. It can be rewritten, it can be overwritten, or probably it can be just said, oh, the it is just a misplacement or misunderstanding or whatever reasons can be given. So this can be avoided, and in accurate data can be provided through a digital, because the computer doesn't favor anybody, humans do favor. So we believe in the digital world rather than the human. So that's the reality of world. So again, it is helpful in the calculation of payrolls, because based on the probably the in terms of what we call it as the reduction of any kind of uh, salary, or probably any kind of punishments, or any kind of what we say, that if you come late we will deduct the salary. All these kind of things can be avoided, or probably it can be calculated on the basis of the reducing all these errors. So it cannot the error cannot come out from us or probably the company. The errors can come from the employee, but it cannot come from our side. Okay. So there's a question that has come, that how much how frequently the policies can be redrafted. So there is no end to it, or there is no number to it. So if we are analyzing, and if we are facing issues, that means the company is basically in a transition era, or probably in an era where we need to improve constantly. So it is the management. So one, the end is like nowhere you can actually change the policy, but it should not be like every month the policy is changing. No, the policy should be given some chance. Once the policy, first of all, the policy, when you are redrafting, that means there has to be a solid data, there has to be a proper planning, there has to be strategizing towards it. Once you frame that policy and release towards it, at least 1 year you need to find out, at least I'm saying at least 1 year you need to drive that policy, and you need to see the pros and cons, and then only you need to change. If you frequently change every month, then there is an issue with the management, then the issue with the HR only. It is not the issue with the company. You need to understand, if you have any changes, you yourself understand, if you have changes for yourself every month, the employee will not believe in you. Okay, the employee will not trust in this. So data driven is not exactly to change the policy. The data driven is to change an employee, or probably understand what is a rules. Okay. Again, this is there. So when the attendance system is written, or probably it's a digitally written, there is an employee accountability. So it is not you pointing fingers on anybody else, that you are responsible, or who is responsible, or HR is responsible. He was a person who wrote my attendance, or she was a person who actually noted down my overtime. So all these things are not there. If everything is accurately written on a digital basis, so it is an accountability that is there towards the employee. Okay. And of course, there is less of abuse of leave, which is like, with an efficient system, it is easier to spot trends in misuse or abuse of leave entitlements. So we can easily find out that who is playing with us. Okay. We cannot ask that, somebody is like just, taking leaves and giving all excuses, whatever there is there. So like we always get, there is a joke that, every month there is a grandmother who is dying. Okay, this is nothing but there's a abusive leave or probably whenever there is a cricket match or an Indian match, so there is a grandmother who is dying, or probably in the hospital that is there. So we can avoid that kind of an leave, or probably a fake leave that is there. Next.
So I think you've been talking for quite a while. How about we give you a breather, man? I'm going to launch a
Yeah, yeah.
poll. Okay, audience, I'm going to launch a couple of polls, but for the time being, I'm just going to launch one. I'd like to know, how exactly is your organization currently managing leave and attendance? Please note, this is a single choice question. A certain MCQs will be multiple choice where you can choose multiple questions, options, sorry, but this is going to be a single choice. We just like to know, how exactly is your system at present? And good to see some questions that are coming in already. Audience, please drop in your questions on chat or Q&A. Some of them that our speaker is not able to immediately answer, it will be taken up towards the end of the session. Okay, so mix of manual and software solutions. I see that. Okay, three of them have mentioned fully automated. Okay, so I think from what I see here, let me just share the results. From what I see, the majority is obviously a mix of manual and software. Any comments on this, ma'am?
So it is okay. It also depends on how the company is running. So it might be, the mix of manual and software might be that they were following a traditional way. Now they are probably getting towards the software solution. So it is the change doesn't happen automatically. So it comes in a slow way. So it's like a mixture of traditional and the automation is like we are testing both ways, whatever is suitable. So if the automation is suitable, then we can move forwards into the automation part, or probably the traditional might be look out of for something. So this is okay. I mean, it is also a trend where you can actually check out which makes more sense in terms of the size of the company, or probably in terms of the employee understanding of automation as well.
Okay. All right. So I'll just stop sharing and moving on to the next slide. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last point would be enhanced communication, because when we have the process is streamlined, and when every process has certain kind of approvals that are required. So see, I'll give you an example is like, when we verbally go and tell somebody, a manager, that I will not be coming for a few days, or probably tomorrow, or another day, so it becomes a very difficult issue for the others to know, or probably any approvals. And then we have a psychological issue with that person, that who was the person who took the leave, or who was the person who gave the approval. So all these things are there. So to avoid all kinds of emotional misunderstandings and everything, so we have this digital way of saying that if there is any kind of leave, they can apply for it. And there are certain system which is like available in a particular chart itself, that okay, if there is somebody who is taking a leave, or probably there is an emergency that is there, so that can be क्या कहते हैं, granted for the leave. But there is a person who is all taking a leave, probably in a for a like a planned leave or a long leave, or probably there. So in that chart it is visible that who else is not there during that time. So that can be also addressed in their sense. So you actually, this when there is a streamlining of processes and everything, the communication improves and the chart also improves, and the leave management within the team is also addressed, so there is no kind of miscommunication anywhere. So similarly, like with when so these 2 points of clear leave request and real time updates, all this is addressed in the automation system itself, right? Next. Okay, so again, what are the challenges in traditional leave and attendance management? I actually discussed the first point clearly, human error and the data duplication part, because the data or the computer doesn't take any kind of an error. It is what the fact says, and a human is like making mistakes, or probably it is because of the psychological presence is not there, or physical presence is not there. We tend to make a lot of errors in that. So when we are calculating the payroll, or when we are calculating the leave balances, or when we are updating any kind of a records or anything, it creates a lot of issue, and it actually get into a lot of legal issues that are there in India, that can get into such kind of a errors as well. Data duplication, when one paper to another paper, to the third paper, to a fourth paper, or there are four people who are handling one paper, that also creates a lot of issue in. So there is a duplicacy that is there. So there is a consistency issue in there. Okay. The second point is lack of real-time tracking and reporting. Now, the traditional method, again, understand one thing: when we are recording an attendance every day on a pen and paper, or probably on a register, it actually delays a lot of time. I'll give you an example. Once there was a in a traditional setup, there was a person who had come for an audit. Okay, and it was a surprise audit. So once they came, and he just just asked for today's attendance. Okay, now for today's attendance, all kinds of registers were called off, because there was one register which got finished, and so there were half employees wrote on that register, and half of the employees wrote on the second register. So it was a actually painful task for the auditor itself, that to see who has come and who has not come. So it was actually a delayed update that is there. So almost 2 hours, 3 years went in just to find out who is there in the system today. So it gets a delayed update. Then limited visibility is also there. Again, taking the example of the right now that is there. So when we are taking that, okay, one second person to say third person or the fourth person is not coming, we need to actually take out all the back pages, that this person, how many leaves has he taken. So it is a limited visibility is there. So we need to it's a delayed plus a limited visibility, that whether this person has been taking a lot of leaves, and how to find out. It takes a month already, that to find out who is taking the maximum leave. Second, now comes the policy enforcement and the compliance. Again, we've already said that these based on religion, based on the labor laws, based on the state, we all have different holidays. Now, managing these leaves manually, and making sure that the employees following these compliances, or these kind based on their state and based on their laws, it's a task. Okay, then there is a complete mismanagement towards it. Because another taking the example is we have certain people who are in south, there are certain people who are in north, west, east, and they have different holidays. So like east, there is a long lease for Durga Puja. In north, it is like Diwali. In west, it would be probably for a Ganesh Chaturthi. In south, it would be for Pongal or an Onam, or anything related to the state wise. So it's a long leaves that is there. So the person who is a manager, or probably a management, who is sitting in north and understanding the leaves of south and planning it accordingly, it will help in getting all these issues addressed earlier itself. But if we get to know, oh, today is this leave, or today the south people are not going to work, but it was already addressed in the beginning of the year. So it all these things get into a mismanagement situation. So it's better to form it out in a digital way. Audit issues, of course, as I said in the first half itself, that if it is manually, so almost if there is any kind of auditing that is done towards the attendance, it creates a lot of time, and also we don't get the accurate data as well. When the accurate data is not there, the audit is also not accurate, and we are not successful in terms of getting out the causes or the root cause out of it. So that is one more issue that is there. Next. Now, impact on employee satisfaction and HR productivity. Now, traditional lack of transparency. So, see, traditional systems often are not providing any kind of leave balances that is there. Now, leave balance, probably if it says that if there is lack of appreciation also, in terms of that, okay, a person has come for all days. So all these things can creates a dissatisfaction within the team or within the company itself. So it again leads to they are not employees not satisfied, so they deal with other issues like change in the company, or probably taking the leaves, or probably not satisfied at all, and their skills are affected, the task is affected, everything gets affected over here. Manual request processes also takes again forms, paper forms from one department to another, from third to fourth. By the time it is like the approvals are given, the person's leave is already, it is like diswanted again. It's like it's better not to take the approvals, because it will take a month-long time to give approvals. Let me take only leave and let's find out what's happening next day. So that also is there. Inefficiency, again, as an HR person, we people, I mean, at least I believe as an HR person, we have a lot of other work, uh, fruitful work, than to manually track that what is happening with one employee. Okay, it is better to analyze these data rather than tracking, on a base paper or a review basis. It is better to analyze what's happening rather than to just track one thing. It's a tedious, it's a unproductive job that one can do. Manual logging system, it is, see, when we have a manual logging, again, the guards will never tell you what is the truth. Okay, they will not tell you that what will be the, what is the register saying. We cannot believe in that register. Now manual logs can be, it can happen anything, any kind of a mishappening can happen. It can be stolen, or probably it can be thrown away, or probably it can be misplaced. So what will happen to all the logs that we have got? So this is an unproductive, or probably the employees and satisfaction cases. Next. Okay, now the best part is how automation transforms leaves and attendance management. First is the when there is a digital leave application and approval, that kind of communication, or probably that kind of cumbersome in terms of taking the approval is avoided. So employee self-service portal is there, wherein you can just upload those leave and get that approval, plus also check your leave balances and plan out all your leaves for the month or for the year. And also you can actually, through that portal itself, you can actually see that which I mean, as an individual or as an employee, you can also visually analyze that, okay, what is my trend of leaves that is there. So you are accountable. Okay, last week only I took a leave, this week I shouldn't be taking, or that last week only I got late, so this week I shouldn't be late. So there's a self analysis that is there because of the digital leave applications. Then real time tracking, if when there is a biometric punch in and that face tracking, all these things are now available. When you do that, then is an actual timing. So see, you cannot say my clock is saying 9 o'clock and your clock is saying 9:05 is the entry. You can, it's all about the biometric, that is, it's a 9, so 9 will be there. So, it's an actual time, or the actual in and out time that is there. Then we have GPS enabled flow. So there are things like, the corporate office is in New Delhi, or probably in a Bombay, and all the employees are all over India. How do you want to track it? You cannot track it towards manually. So when there is an automation towards it, then an actual digital tracking that is there. So there are a lot of things that is available in terms of this. Is particularly important for people who are on the field sales team, who are on the field, who are there. So you can actually track it through their attendance. You cannot just say that, oh, I was there at 9 o'clock in the market, but you are not aware. But there's a lot of excuses that people do give. But we know through the GPS tracking and all, the actual tracking system is there. Okay, and working hour tracking, if there is any kind of overtime breaks, for logging in, logging in or out, all these things is there. So the working automatically is there. So again, the HR doesn't have to work overtime to calculate the attendance. So there is a productivity for us as well. So just to calculate the total hours, and everything is visible in the monthly basis, and the salary can be also given on a timely basis. Okay, then we have integration with payroll and compliance tools. So automatic system integrates all these payroll system. automatically whenever there is an attendance system that is given, so based on the attendance, it automatically gives the calculation for their salaries and probably their leaves also. So it is an automatically generated. When we give out an salary slips to people also, so salary slip also says due to that software, it also gives you the leaves and leave balances and the salaries, everything is automatic. So all these things are based on the compliance. So when you are actually taking out the tools and softwares, we can give out this kind of a tools that what exactly is our policy and what is based on the policy, the software can be run. Okay, and then we have attendance based pay. Then we have leave impact on benefits, and whatever leaves that we want to take, like sick leave or probably casual leave or any kind of this thing is there. So this attendance system or the automatic system can be categorized in such a way, or we don't have to traditionally manually put down that what kind of leaves are there. So that can be also analyzed, whether how much planned leave, how much sick leave, or how much casual leave a person has taken. Okay, now based on the regulations of the company or the labor laws or anything, all the policies and systems can be put in place, and legally it can be adhered. As an individual also, it can be you are accountable, or it can be adhered to follow this kind of a legal policy as well. Next.
Okay, so let me just launch a poll, ma'am. I think I'll give you a quick short break. So audience, I request all of you to check your chat. Okay, we're going to drop a quick LinkedIn poll for you. Now, this is going to redirect you to LinkedIn. So I hope all of you are able to see the link on your chat. This is a live LinkedIn poll that's running on our LinkedIn page. So I request all of you to click on it, spend about 5 to 10 seconds, enter the poll, and come back to the screen. Now, in the meantime, I'll just read the question for the rest of you. Now, since we are talking about automation, our speaker is discussing that, and there are a couple more slides on this. We'll have a question based on that. Which aspect of leave and attendance management do you think automation can improve the most, or is going to improve the most? Is it going to be accurate real-time tracking, simplified employee scheduling, consistent policy enforcement, or is it seamless reporting and analytics? Now, I know there might not be some things here, but unfortunately, we can only have 4 options. So I request all of you to select what you think is the most important one according to you from the polls, and we can get back to the presentation. Okay, and audience, I see some of you have also entered your queries. Please keep them coming. We will definitely take them up as the session proceeds. I think we have a couple more slides, followed by which we will get into the Q&A. Okay, there are some votes that are happening there. Good to see that. Okay, wonderful. Also, on a side note, those of you who are interested to see regular HR updates and certain case studies on our HR automation solution, please feel free to request a follow for us, and you will definitely not be disappointed. All right, I think the rest of you are still on that page, can finish up and come back. I'm moving to the next slide, ma'am. Over to you.
Yeah, so policy enforcement is better over here. So again, when there is a new policy that is set up, or probably any kind of political policy that has to be regulated over here, so immediately it can be regulated on an automatic system, and it can be viewed by all the employees immediately on specific any kind of a policy that is there. It is not manually done, it can be avoided over there. So understand, it is good for people who are located all over the world, so it can be immediately addressed in an automatic sense, so it can be easily sent to all employees. By avoiding that there is a, 3 people group or a 10 people group in the company as an HR, and and each person is calling day and night to every employee that okay, these are the changes that are there. So there is an automatic change that can happen through this, so that can be also done in terms of the automation system. And of course, due to the compliances and due to the labor laws that we follow as a in a company, so the audit becomes also successful through all this. So everything is in place. So if a person calls out for any kind of attendance or leave approvals or probably adjustments, anything that is there that during the audit is there, it is available automatically, or probably it is available on time. It is not delayed. Every update is given on time. Okay. What is the benefit of HR teams and employees? First and foremost, it is time saving. Okay. HR is a department where we need to follow, or where we need to come out with a lot of ideas, a lot of plannings, and a lot of strategies. That is where the HR department comes into the role, rather than doing any kind of a manual operational work. That is something basic. Administrative task is something really, really basic. So an HR person needs to think very big in terms of the vision of the company. So that can be done through the automation system. The operational and the administrative tasks can be provided in a way that can be automatically done. Okay. And paperwork and everything. So if you just visualize that an HR department is there, and it is there are 10 or 15 people that are there in the department, and almost one person, leaving one person who will be the manager, left rest everybody is doing a traditional paperwork. Okay. Because one paper is getting evaluated to, and the second stage, and the second stage goes to the third stage to the fourth, just to create one salary, just to create one leaf understandings. Okay. So it's kind of a data. And when you store all these sheets, all the maximum kind of drawers and the cupboards are there for the uh, these HR department only, because they have manual records that are kept there. If somebody asks in 1974 what happened and what was the leave and everything, they need to find out a probably a register or something. How tedious that task would be. So let's come up with good ideas in terms of an HR department, and let's actually come forward to do any meaningful job rather than doing a administration or a operational job, right? So this actually reduces the paperwork. Second would be transparency in policy and processes. This transparency would actually help in giving out an information to the employees that the HR or probably the management is not favoring, or probably is not asking people to work according to them. They can work according to the company policies. They can avoid violating any kind of a company policy, and if there is any person who is violating, the action would be taken accordingly. It is not in terms of probably a favoritism that is there. So it is a dual thing, dual opportunity for the company as well as for the employees. Okay. The transparency is actually equivalent to both. So when there is a transparency in policy and processes, all the employees, including the management, is happy. The management is able to take a decision which is neutral, and the employee is also able to understand these policies and the actions why the management has taken is because of the policies that are transparent. It is written in the manual, or probably it is written in the policy book. Everything is written. So every leaves and attendance and probably absenteeism is worked according to the policy that is there. So it is automatically done. And there is less flow of communication when there is kind of an absenteeism, or there's a less in terms of leave attendance or management systems that has to be taken. So all these things can be created in a better way, in a planned way. Okay. Then we have an improved accuracy in payroll calculation. This is non-discussable right now, because one thing that is very, very important is that accurate payroll or salaries has to be given. So if there is every time that the employee is coming to the payroll department and saying that I was present, I was not present, I was this, I worked overtime, all this, so the employee dissatisfaction can be avoided over there. Right. Next. Okay, so there's a case study to it. So there's a company called as Stellar Specialities India Limited. It's a very, very, very large manufacturing company. and dealing with global employees, and it is basically dealing with a lot of divisions. Okay, it is dealing with industrial product lines, and they manufacture, they export, and they sell in terms of retail marketing, in terms of domestic market. So it is everywhere, it is there. Now, at some point of time, this company was making money, but traditionally it was not growing as in a very big way, or probably in a higher way like it had to be. So after analyzing a lot of terms and everything, so it was found out that the employee productivity was missing, or probably employees were taking for granted for everything. And it was not, there was a lack of system, there was lack of processes everywhere. So, what was the challenges that was faced majorly was that again, it was a manual tracking of attendance, and errors were there in terms of time records and payroll in the international and domestic. Then because of there was the head office was in Mumbai, and the Mumbai rules and regulations were followed all in all the in internationally also, and in the nationally, because they thought that wherever the head office is, wherever their plant is, that's where every person needs to follow the policies and everything. And There were large number of volumes of data that was received in the office, which was difficult to manage, and HR was in a situation where discrepancy was not found out, or there was a lack of finding out the actual issue. So it actually slowed down the productivity of the whole company. Now, what happened was, when this analysis was done, and when things were understood that what was the major issue, there was understood that in a proper process, a culture has to be set, and the cultural change has to be there. There has to be a clear thought process, and the working culture needs to be changed. So first thing that was operational was that a centralized system was formed, wherein the attendance was managed, and whether you are in USA, whether you are in UK, or probably your manager is in another country or city. So it is very much easy, rather than sending mails, rather than waiting for the approvals and everything. It is a very digital system that is actually given out to the top level if the person is not available. So it was easy to do operate that kind of a centralized system. Then there's a self-service employee portal. Again, it's the best thing that one can have. If you have a global employee system that is there, you can actually track everything through the employee portal. Then third is that the whole because of the automatic system and everything, the based on their country, on their laws, the leave management and the absent management is actually written, and it was operational, and it was actually calculated in those bases. That was also manageable. And last but not the least is the biometric attendance system. Now, because of biometric, the wherever you are in the world, in the biometric system, it is like actually online system as well. So you can actually get into the world of biometric, and it can be helpful in terms of the calculating the in and outs as well. Next. Yeah, so what it result was, accuracy was there. So there is no gap in between yes or a no. It was either yes or it was a no. Then faster approval process was there. Then enhanced compliances and improved employee satisfaction, and which it actually boosted the morale and reduced the HR support queries by 30%, which was much required. Now the company is in a very running it very very successfully, and because of the employee satisfaction, they are enjoying work, and they are also enjoying the kind of understanding that their salary is given on a particular date, exactly on that date. and they get it before date rather than delaying it more, or for any excuse that the payroll department has to give. So this was an employee satisfaction there. And this company is called as a company which the employees, the minimum years of experience in the company, like per person is staying and working in the company, it's almost like 12 to 15 years is what the employee is working for this company. So that's a very good sign of retainment or probably employee satisfaction. Okay. Second case study that I would discuss is a Standback Prime Limited. It's basically a retail. It is into probably what do you call it, as a cosmetics division, and it is also into home care divisions. So this they follow the company, like they have only sales team. Now, the people who are on stores, working on the store, on distributor level, on the field. So all this, when you have such kind of an employee in the field, so it again we whatever we discussed right now in terms of like the manual tracking and difficulty in tracking the absenteeism, inconsistent adherence to the policies that the company has to set up, all these things was there. Now, what was the solution and what we did was that we did a mobile app for employees. Now, because of the mobile app, whether you're working offsite or remotely, you can actually play on that mobile phone with all the features, and it is written that your in and out is already mentioned over there. So that one thing was done. So that was also easily trackable. Then automated shift scheduling was there, that the system automatically managed schedules, allowing employees to request leave and manage shift without managerial intervention. That was there. Again, approvals were less, and based on these data information that was written on that mobile app, so everything was manageable accordingly. Next. Real-time reporting. So store managers also had an access to this tracking system. So if there was any discrepancy or anything, either the store manager had the real-time attendance and they used to report to that. Then AI-powered absence prediction is there. The system analyzed trends in employee absenteeism and provided predictive insights, helping managers to anticipate staffing needs. So this was also helpful in terms of the insights that was given, because of the absenteeism and because of the attendance, because of the non-presence and everything. So it helped in that whether there was a replacement that was there or not. So that was also very important. That was there. So again, because it was operational in all over India, how it helped in giving out good results was the people who were in the corporate office, they actually had reduced at least 60% of their time in wasting in terms of understanding whether those employees were actually working and not working. So their productivity also includes. So it was not just the employee, but HR staff productivity also improved, which actually helped in other analysis and the strategic work. Reduction of absenteeism, because everything was getting tracked and everything was manageable. So the absenteeism also reduced by 25%. Better staffing over here. Again, because there were people who were taking regular leaves, and they were absent from on their job on the field. So it was, the replacement was done very good, in a good way. Again, employee satisfaction was there, because through the mobile and the people who were doing well, or people who were like they achieved the target and everything. So it was a real time tracking, that when whatever things have been achieved and if they are working, so it's already written on their mobile app. So it was immediately given to the corporate office so that it can be tracked well. So the employee satisfaction was there. Next. Okay, so what are the factors that can be considered while choosing a system, or probably a good system that for the long-term goals is, first is ease of use and user interface. Now, again, understand one thing, whatever your company policy is, whatever your company action is, so you need to find out that how, how good the system is. Is it user-friendly interface, or is it good for encouraging any kind of adoption, minimizing errors? Those things should be analyzed. Then, obviously, the employee self-service should be also there, whether to contact the any kind of leave tracking, view balances, track approvals and everything, that can be tracked easily by the employee rather than contacting the HR. And for any managers, the system should be simple to approve, deny, or review the leave request rather than monitoring the attendance all the time. Okay. Second point is the customization and flexibility. Now, it should help in customizing the specific leave policy as per the law. Like, for example, there are rules for carrying the leave policy or expiry of leave. So that kind of customization can be written based on the company policies that are there. How the system allows you for approvals. Sometimes there are multi-level approvals, sometimes there are one approval that is there, so that customization has to be there. Third is the scalability. The system should also grow with the organization as well. Because if the system just says that it can handle only 10 people, but the company is growing towards 100 and going towards 50 to 100, so the system should actually look at that it is capable of managing the growth system. Also, it should also consider that system should have an evolved system in terms of it can get into the modular features. It has different features in terms of reporting, and in terms of it can actually periodically evolve as and when required. Then comes integration and capabilities. So now the HR system or the payroll integration, the software. I mean, it actually should also contain performance management or the project management tools. It actually helps in streamlining the data flow also. And very important in integration is the third party integration, where the system should be able to integrate with the third party from platforms like we call time tracking or scheduling tools, or the mobile app that the company was following. So all these things can be also used. Then we come to compliance and legal considerations. The system should also follow the local, state, and federal regulations based, and also it should also consider the leave system that the processes are following, or the policies that we have in terms of political and plus all the state issues. So it should have a different compliance and legal considerations as well. And also it should follow the data privacy and security. It should not be it should have a say privacy in terms of the rule base, and it should also secure data. It should not be like any person can access to any kind of data which should be confidential. Then mobile accessibility, of course, it should give you a mobile friendly look, so that a laptop system or a computer system or a desktop system is not the only means to be user friendly. It should be usable in terms of in mobile apps as well. And frequent push notifications should be there in terms of leave approvals, or probably time of reminders and upcoming holidays. All these things shall be managed. Then we have automation and reporting. So automation and reporting in terms of automated leave management, real-time reporting, and reports should be customizable according to our wish. So that should be also taken care, and it should give a proper support and training. So the vendor, that whoever we are addressing to, should give us the training resources for employees and administrations, and we should have regular manuals and regular webinars, and if required, any kind of on-demand tutorials Otherwise it becomes an issue. And should have a 24/7 customer support, or through like we have chat systems, email, phone support. All these things needs to be there. And of course, this vendor should also give an ongoing maintenance and updates regularly. And okay, we should look at the cost and ROI of it. Now, when I say cost and ROI, the investment is huge, and we need to look at it how the investment can be helpful in terms of integrating all these things. So we need to look at the cost part, and also return of investment. That if we are putting such kind of an investment, how is it helpful in reducing the payroll errors? It is helpful in creating an automation. It is helpful in analyzing. Is it helpful in any kind of compliance? So all these things need to be looked at. And security and data privacy, again, everything need to have a backup. Whatever might be an issue, the backup should be ready. Then the control, access control, data encryption, everything needs to be undertaken. It should not create any kind of a problem. Then we have vendor reputation and experience. Please look at the in kind of a vendor, which vendor you are taking, which vendor you are talking to, because their I mean 5-star ratings and their compliances and their feedback is also required. You should look at the testimonials of other customers before venturing into such kind of a vendor. So that is there. Next.
I think that brings us to
Yeah.
the end of the session, ma'am.
Hmm.
Okay, so audience, that does bring us to the end of the deck. So as I mentioned, we can definitely take up queries. I think we can spend about 5 to 10 minutes, ma'am, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let us actually quickly take up the ones that have already come through. I'll just read it out for you. One from Mr. Shreyas. You can also
Hmm.
check when you scroll up. Are there any recent advancements or trends in leave and attendance management that we should consider?
So there are, a lot of sort, like I said in the last slide itself, there are a lot of softwares, and there are a lot of automated, softwares that are available in the market throughout. So, the softwares keep getting updating, and, forget about the leave management or anything. If you have updated any kind of a software in your mobile itself, they give you a push notification all the time to update it. So you will get a lot of options in the market. So, but to find out which one is good, that R&D you need to do it. Or probably you can get in touch with Siddharth for his, product line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is ours is a small startup traditional company. How efficiently can we streamline the tracking process since automation may require some investment?
Yes, it requires an investment, but probably you need to do an R&D whether it is worthwhile of doing. If you have a very small organization, then it is not required. If you can handle a 10 people, one HR is there, you can handle it. It is a practical understanding whether you require it or not. It also depends on the size of the employee system. So you can avoid that kind of an automated system if you have a small organization.
Yeah, I think I'd agree to that too. Um, okay, all right. Any other queries? Audience, I did see some of them had raised your hands. I'd also like to mention if anyone wants to directly interact with Ms. Navina, I can enable that. I'll be able to unmute you. So if you have any questions that you want to directly ask instead of chatting or dropping the question on chat, I can do that as well. I see two of them have raised their hands, Sharayu and Shivaram. Do you have any queries that you'd like to ask? Okay. Anything that you'd like to ask in regards to the topic, I would be able to allow you to talk. Sharayu and Shivara, just want to check because you raised your hands. If you have any queries, I'll be able to unmute you. Let me know. Okay, all right. Mr. Shivaram, anything? Audience, we can spend another 5 minutes max to max. Any queries there is, uh, we can take that up. Okay, all right. I think there don't seem to be any queries, ma'am. So I think on that note, we can close up the session for today.
Yes.
Okay. All right. A big thank you to Ms. Navina for having spent the time and the efforts. I think it was a very insightful deck for our audience. I'm sure about that. So thank you so much for your time and efforts, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, and audience, once again, thank you all for your time. And as mentioned, I will be reaching out to the ones who've shown interest for our solution on the HR end. So we will reach out to you in about 1 or 2 working days. You can expect a call from our team, and the webinar deck and the stream link, the recording will be shared to you on our post-webinar mailer. So you can expect that very shortly. So on that note, thank you so much. We will keep you posted on our next webinar. You will definitely receive invites from us. Until then, this is Siddharth signing off. Thank you so much for your time, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Thank you once again, Navina ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.